Hi, my name is Lee Phillips. We are here with Amazing TV, and we have the honor to have a beautiful and amazing photographer here, Dutch photographer Wendelien Daan, and she has her new book, Almost Human, with like through decades amazing imagery. And we are excited to talk for today on Amazing TV. How are you doing, Wendelien?
Hi, Lee. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Good afternoon for me. Good morning for you.
Yes, yes. Good morning for me too as well. Okay, so let's go into your book, Almost Human. Can you share the actual story behind it and what you hope to communicate with this book?
Yes. Well, I've been a photographer for 30 years, fashion mostly, and through the years, I've been collecting images on my pin board, which speak to me the best. My favorites, and I tried to edit these images and make combinations because I work a lot of times I work for editorial assignments, and the way I do my stories is always thinking about which image should be next to the other one. I know there are creative directors for magazines who also do that, but for me it's very important. So I did the same thing on my pin board with all the images I shot, and I made a selection with also images which haven't been done on assignments, but more free work or things I see on the street. So it's a mix of human and not human. That's why it's called Almost Human. Well, there are a lot of other things you can also explain the title, but this is one thing, that they're still life and models most of the time in the images. When I decided that I had enough combinations and enough images, I was thinking of how to proceed. So I came to a very well-known Dutch bookmaker. He's a book designer. He's called Siep, and I did a workshop with him last year. So we looked at all the combinations and the edit, and we spoke about it, and we were both very enthusiastic to work together on the final book. So we did, and now it's almost done. So I'm just working on some people who can write in my book about the subject on their kind of sort of input. And I think I have a really nice selection already with one transsexual model. She is, well, I can't tell you the name yet. And then there's another model, and she is well known for her curvy. She's a curvy model. So and it's something which is shown in my book. I'm very interested in not the average, normal, or the beautiful girl, which is perfect, but I always want to show the beauty of imperfection. So all humans are different. None of the humans are perfect, because everybody has something which the other one doesn't have. We're all different, and I think things who are generally thought of being not pretty or not perfect, I think if you look at it in another way, or in a sort of free way, then it will become beautiful. So that's why I kind of focus on these things. And I in the last few years, I also zoomed in more on bodies and on shapes, to sort of make them more abstract and make you look at it in a different way. So that's awesome. A little bit about the book.
Yeah. Also, I did see that there was an actual reoccurring theme too as well, like you were saying, like looking at the imperfect and just and then from that how did you like come up with that idea to really just like highlight the actual, the actual not so perfect, I guess like objects or just like in general having more like diverse bodies and diverse models and stuff like that. Like how did that come about?
Well, that was already my, I say it, was very important already when I started in my photography, that I tried to find, for me, interesting girls, which were not the mainstream girls, which everybody loved, but I was more interested in a little bit different. You know, they're more androgyne, or they're more I don't know, with freckles, or very black, or just very white, or a little bit curvy. But curvy was difficult in the beginning, because most of the time, if you shoot a lot of fashion and with the designers, all these sizes are like 36, so difficult to
Yeah.
shoot curvy girls. But I know in the last years, there's more and more diversity, which I love. So
Yeah.
I sort of, I enhanced my, or how do you say that? I focused more on showing all different shapes and colors, and yeah, that's what I think is very important in my work.
Yeah, of course. And then I did notice that you do have a lot of like close-ups of just like some of your imagery. So, so what makes that actual perspective so compelling to you?
Close-up turns it a bit more abstract, I think. So
Mm.
you focus more on shapes or lines or curves or details, and if you look longer and you don't
Mhm.
swipe really fast, you certainly suddenly you see something you haven't seen before, and you sort of can appreciate the shapes or the lines, or so that's what I think is interesting, if you zoom in and not show the whole person, because then it's about a person and not about the detail. And I think it's both is interesting. Of course, you don't have to
Mm.
not shoot any human being with a face anymore, because faces are of course also very interesting, but the combinations I also truly love.
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
either yeah.
Yeah. So if you could speak to your younger creative self, what advice or reassurance would you offer her now?
Well, I grew up with or grew up I started photographing with Hasselblad, which is a medium-sized or medium format camera. And
Mhm.
of course, it was analog at the time I started photography. I think it was in 1990, 1995 or something. So
Mhm.
everything was analog with film, and it was expensive because I was a student. So you try to make composition, do the right shot, shoot a Polaroid or two, three, four, and then you decided that, okay, this is the image I want. Of course, there can be minor, differences, but I don't want them running around and doing all kinds of stuff and then later on see what works best. I was really into directing the subject or the model into a certain pose or shape or situation. And then I took maybe a few shots, and that was it. And after the Hasselblad, I bought even slower camera, you can say. It's that was a Linhof 4x5 inch, so that's a larger size analog camera, which was even more difficult to use because it was much slower. You have to fill the cassettes and take the how do you call it? There's this piece which hides it from the lens. You have to pull it out. Well, it's all technical. Anyway, it takes a little more time before you have one shot. So you can shoot like the clack, 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 but you have to shoot and then do it back, turn it around, do it again. So it takes a while. So then I shot like maybe 5 or 10 shots for one for one situation, So it made me look very carefully at the subject and direct it and make sure the way everything is, the light and everything is perfect, and then I shoot. So after that, of course, then we had the digital age, like it began in 2005 or 2004, 2007. I got more and more into digital shooting. And then, of course, you're freer, because if you shoot, you can shoot 20, but you can also shoot 2,000 if you want, if you have a large hard disk, but that, it took a little bit of time to get used to the idea that you can shoot more, but still in the end, compared to before, I'm working a little bit the same way. It's looking very carefully what you want to shoot, and then shoot some images, and you're maybe a little freer to shoot because you're faster, but for me it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know, like, back in the day, you had to be more like intentional and more like thoughtful on the actual shots that you were trying to get, and especially whatever theme it was. And you didn't have that many shots to get to, but nowadays it's like everything's digital. So have you formally done more digital, or are you still doing film as well? Or are you doing like a mix?
Well, mostly digital. Sometimes I do analog, but it's more for when I travel or something, and it's not
nothing too serious.
No, most of the time you have shoots, and then the result has to be really quick. And that's for me, it doesn't really work that good, because then I have to use but for some free work and some traveling, I love to still love to do film.
And you originally studied fashion design. What inspired your shift to photography and film, and how does that early training still influence you today?
I went to fashion, the RTS, the University of Art in Arnhem, which is a city in the east near the German border in Holland. And it was well known for their fashion design department, the best of Holland. And so I decided to go there, and I was, well, of course, you have to do, how do you say it, a sort of exam to get in, to show your talent. So they took me on, and then I studied fashion design for 5 years. But during that time, of course, you have collections you have to design, and you have to make it yourself, and then you have to do a show, like a proper fashion designer. And then everybody wants pictures, but there was no one who could really make any good pictures of their own collections, or people who we knew, or so. At a certain point, I was like, okay, let me do it. I mean, I love to take pictures, and I want to tell a story. So I decided to help fellow students and collections which I designed myself, and shot it in a way I liked it. So it's not only studio, because that was maybe too technical in the beginning, but more outside. And then after my study fashion, I moved to Amsterdam, and I decided to focus more on photography. So I did a lot of shoots with fellow students, and made a portfolio. Got a grant from the art, how do you call it? Amsterdam Art Foundation, I think. They give artists foundation funding for their free work. So that was a really good start for me. And then so then I just went on shooting, and then I thought, okay, I don't have a sort of education for a photographer, so I decided to be an assistant for a while at in a studio of a still life photographer who taught me all the stuff I needed to know about analog shooting, large format, but also computer work, because he was totally into Apple computers at the time. And I think I was there let me say it well, 1990 till 1995 approximately. So that was really the beginning of Apple computers and Photoshop, and there was even some other programs we tried out. And so I'm still really happy that I learned it there. So I was quite quick with the post-production of film. There was analog, you had to scan it, and then you can put it in your computer and work on it, and then you can bring it back to the lab and they make a negative or a positive again. So it was a little bit of a hustle. What else would I want to tell? So that's how I became a photographer, actually. Yeah. And then in the while I was still an assistant there, I was approached by Viktor and Rolf, because I think you have a question about that. They went to the same school as I. They, of course, also studied fashion design, and they graduated a couple of years after I did. And they decided together that they wanted to become a couture house. So they made up this perfume campaign, because they thought, okay, if we want to be a couture house, we need to have a perfume. So we thought about an image to make a perfume campaign, but of course there was no perfume. There was only one bottle, and it couldn't even be opened. So it was an idea about being a couture house and having this image, but it was more the idea and the story you want to tell with it than the actual branding and advertisements, So we made a fake kind of perfume campaign, and it was published, I think, in Self-Service and in V magazine. So that was sort of a start for me to sort of collaborate with fashion designers in a way that it got more exposure. And then there was a stylist in Paris, and I think he works for 10 magazine, Hector Castro. And he approached me if I wanted to do a story with him for Jalouse. Then it sort of happened, sort of. I went from Jalouse to L'Officiel, and then there was this magazine called Citizen K, and they let me do a couture show with Alec Weck. And then this art director from Paris Vogue, he approached my agent at the time to see if I was interested in doing also a couture story for the French Vogue. So then I worked for them. And I shot a couple of really nice stories, especially the one I did with lingerie. I had to shoot a lingerie story, and I thought of an idea to have this girl be on a horse. So that was this crazy idea. And so we shot this on a horse, which was trained for movies. So it was a horse who could really do everything the trainer told him to do. So that was sort of the start of my international career.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about film, because I know you do a little bit of film, like video and stuff like that, for your experience. What was that process like for you, and how is it different from still photography?
Yeah, film I don't do a lot, but sometimes I make little movies, but it's not like because of course you also, if you have a client who wants you to shoot a certain collection, they sometimes also want video. But then it's like, okay, there is this model, and she moves around in a dress, and then, she moves around in another dress or another outfit, and then that's it. They sort of put it together, and for me, that's not a film. So if I do film there, I wanted to be also a story, you know. I want to tell a story. It's like making a little movie. It's not like somebody running around in a nice dress. No, it's about a story. And then she can, of course, or he or she or whoever is in the movie can wear something or wear multiple things. Doesn't matter as long as there is a storyline. So I did, I think 3 years ago, I did a little movie for a fashion design festival in Arnhem, which is again Arnhem, where I studied. They do this exhibition and a lot of attention for fashion designers who used to go to school there or just finished high school there or finished our school there. And I did a movie about consumption. So there is a actress we casted, and she is ordering online. She's ordering clothes. So it's kind of funny in a way. She's in this room and she gets packages all the time, and she unwraps them and she unwraps them, and she's all the time she's unwrapping, like crazy, you know. She's like putting on the clothes and putting more clothes on, and she's on the table and on the floor and being crazy with all the unwrapping. And then at a certain point, everything is unwrapped, and you see her sort of going into a depression again. It's like, oh my God, I unwrapped everything and now it's over, and what am I going to do? So it's sort of a little bit of a critic viewpoint on overconsumption, you know, the buying of everything. And I think that's nice, because then the story is still, you see, because we wanted to use outfits from designers from Arnhem. So there are a lot of designs from a lot of different designers who studied in Arnhem in this little movie. But that the way we show it is that this actress woman, she unwrapped all these packages and she puts on all these looks. So the way we show the looks is totally different than what you would expect from a little fashion movie. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that these kind of, you know, funny or a little bit absurd kind of things I really like.
Love that.
That's an example of the.
Yes. Yeah. How do you define an image, especially in the world that often like seeks perfection, like something that's real, more tangible, more authentic?
Yeah, that I think I already said something about that. I think I have a certain preference for different looking, so not mainstream and perfect. And I think it's boring for me to you know, if everything is perfect and there's no kind of
like especially I know when I notice some of your pictures, the models, they're not certainly like posing like the regular posing. Like I really love just the way how some of the models are like bent over, or they're on like the wall, like that type of stuff. Like how are you able to tell the model to like do these type of poses? Are you like something like that in that way?
Yeah, the uncomfortable kind of poses is very interesting for me. So I always try to work with a lot of new faces, because they haven't been sort of pushed in a certain direction already. So I think on one hand, maybe they are a little bit shy in front of the camera and not very how do you call it, self-assured. Which makes it sometimes a little bit the discomfort you could feel, because the shyness is there, but then still also because they're new at it, they sort of are open for my kind of direction. And it doesn't always work, of course. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes you have models, and I have one model I work with a lot, and she she's open to everything. She comes with ideas, and for her it totally doesn't matter if she should be upside down or in some sort of, you know, wrinkle or yeah. So that's a really nice study always if I shoot her. Yeah, we can go over kind of over an edge to make it even more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that about your work. So lastly, so what does success look like to you now as an artist and not just a photographer?
That I can sort of push every image in a way I want it to go. So it's not okay. Before, in the beginning when I started, I was kind of a technical nerd, like I just told you about the camera, you know, and everything had to be perfect and the light had to be perfect and everything and direction and blah blah. And now I'm sort of like more, who cares, you know, let's experiment, you know, also with the shapes and the poses and but also the technique. Sometimes it's like, okay, let me see if what happens if we overexpose it, or if everything is blurred, or maybe I make sometimes I make some collage, or I make other kind of things which happen in camera or afterwards in Photoshop, but never with AI. Actually, I have to say I don't use AI.
Yes.
Everything is real in that sense that it's digitally shot, but I think it's still real. I mean, we're used to it now, but and I also like it if I alter it in the end with Photoshop. I then, even it doesn't have, you can see it. I don't want people to think, oh, I don't know what happened, but did she do something? But I really want you to see kind of the cut, or so I on purpose make it look a little bit not perfect, you know. So there's a little edge on the lines are not perfect, or the fading or the cut out is not perfect. It's a little bit like really like cut and paste with scissors. That's what I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see a couple of your pictures. I did see like lips on top of one of the frames, something like that that I thought was really cool too.
Yeah, that was a collage I did in digital first, and then I had an exhibition this summer, and I had to frame. I had to make a enlargement in frame, and I thought, okay, if I frame this one, I want to do it for real. So I also made the lip in a print, and then I had to sort of glue it on top of the print, but it has a distance, so there's also a little drop shadow on the bottom of the lip. So I had to position everything, and it's so much fun to do. And I know it's very little something. It's only the lip, but it works for me. It's a nice little detail.
Yes, yeah. And go ahead and pre-order. And thank you so much for speaking with me today. And yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you too.